want to thank everybody for being with our podcast. For those of you watching, we're doing a interview with a couple of the candidates for school board in Greenville County. Angie Mosley, Ashley Martin. Appreciate you guys being here. As you can tell, me and Presley are wearing our pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're supporting it, big advocates of that. So if you're out there, donate to your American Cancer Society for breast cancer awareness.
Charity for breast cancer research. Exactly. Well, Sam, and by the way, everybody, thank you for joining in our podcast, Patriots on Point. I'm Presley Stutz. I have the right to remain silent, but I do not have the ability. And Sam, the man, Manley, he is the man.
Rhino Hunter.
Rhino Hunter, that's right. And we've got a couple ladies here, like Sam said, Angie and Ashley, and they don't have the ability to remain silent either. And I think you're in for some good treat this morning or afternoon or night, whenever you're watching this podcast, okay? But we want to let you all know that we're 20 days away, ladies, from November the 3rd, from the election. And, Tip O'Neill once said, all politics is local, and it is. And politics must first start with the local level. And you can't get any more local than the school board. Because you all have seen what's happened with the big power grab with the NEA and all of these rules and regulations that have come down. It's just a nightmare. Our children are no longer being educated, they're being indoctrinated. And under this current COVID environment, they're being abused, seriously. So, but Angie and Ashley were able to be here with us today, but we also have Carolyn Stiles, and Carolyn is in District 17. Dolly Collins is also running. Sarah Doolin in District 27, and Jennifer Tanner in District 25. So we've got 4, 5, 6 names here. And all these ladies are conservative ladies. They believe in principles of conservatism. They believe in a constitutional republic. So we're just excited to have you here. And so thank you. Welcome to the podcast. Sam, you got a big question for these.
Got a big question for you.
Let's start it off and make it tough.
Just start it off. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into this. I have a son who's graduating from Riverside High School this year, and I have a daughter who's getting ready to go into middle school. So you ladies are running for county school board, or the school board for Greenville County. So give me a reason, or what do you plan to change it where we have a viable option other than homeschooling? Because homeschooling right now under the current educational system in South Carolina and in Greenville County is a much better option than trusting them to the public schools. And so we need to, everybody pays taxes to the school district. What are you ladies going to do we're going to get our money's worth?
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Is transparency, fiscal transparency, I think, because we want to know that the money's going in the classroom to the teachers, and maybe not so much the administrative level.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know. I want to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sam, that's an interesting question to ask, because I have children with special needs, and I've always been in favor of choice in terms of I believe a parent should have a right to choose whatever school setting makes sense for their child, that meets their child's needs. My own children actually went to a charter school for middle school in Greenville County, and have come back into a typical high school. And so this year has been, for starters, we need to get the kids back in school. There is nothing appropriate right now about the education that they're getting. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Obviously, that's our first thing.
Yeah, that's our first thing. And then the second thing is figuring out what the fallout is. This is unlike any other election year. Most election years, you have candidates who have a platform. They want to change these 3 things. They want to talk about smaller class sizes or teacher pay or what you name, whatever the issues are. The typical issues. I have approached this more from a philosophical standpoint of we're coming in a kind of a movement, I would almost say, and looking at it from, especially at the grassroots level, realizing that many of us have been asleep at the ballot box, like many voters.
Embarrassingly.
And it has taken this pandemic to really wake us up and show us that
it was bad.
There is some things that are really wrong. And I said to someone the other day, I'm not running for school board because I have all the answers. I'm running because I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And that is because I've just been blindly checking the box and realizing in this pandemic with the decisions that are being made, these people are not representing me.
Okay, I've got two questions in the back to back, and I'm going to let you start off first. I want you to tell everybody what's wrong with the Greenville County School District. Tell us what's wrong with it, and then I want you to tell us what you propose to do to fix it. So,
well, I would say initially we were misrepresented as the 5-day moms, that were single issue candidates. I don't think that was a fair, adequate representation. We're so much more than that. We like to think logically, use common sense. We want to bring back critical thinking and not just accept what they're feeding them right now. But what will you want to know specifically what we want to change?
Well, specifically tell us what's wrong first. I want to know what's wrong.
Well, what's wrong is we have 12 board members
that don't listen.
All but one, I believe, unless I'm crazy, do not have children in the system, for one.
Correct.
They do not have skin in the game.
Okay.
They've been removed from the system for a long time. Many of them have been on the board for 20 plus years and run unopposed every single year. They rubber stamp everything that the superintendent does. I've listened to enough live feed board meetings just in this pandemic to realize that the board members will often ask the right questions, but a lot of them, and I'll use special education as an example, a lot of them don't realize that the answer they're being given is just a bunch of bull.
Right.
Because they don't know enough about the subject. So I come from it again, because I have special needs children. I come from it with that background, that expertise. That's the voice at the table that I hope to have. And so I'm listening to a board member ask a question that I've actually given that board member to ask.
We do text them during board meetings.
I
and we have
appreciate,
to ask them what to ask.
I appreciate her asking that question, but she doesn't realize that the answer she's being given is just garbage.
She's just taking it.
It's just word salad.
Well, and it's normally, I'll get that to you later.
Right.
And then we never hear anymore.
Right. And then they continue to pat themselves on the back about everything that they're doing well. Meanwhile, we have people who are private messaging us, getting in touch with us, calling us
all day,
who are in the district, teachers, people who do the job every day, telling us systemically what the problems are, and they're asking, and of course they don't want to be identified because they're afraid.
Punished.
Yes.
Yeah, these teachers are very upset, but they're afraid if they say anything, they're going to get fired.
Well, they don't get fired because there's a contract. They get made to be miserable. They'll move them to a school across the county, and place them in a subject they haven't taught.
Right. So when you ask us what is wrong, I mean, I'm just going to speak at a very, very high level. Leadership starts from the top down, and I am starting to understand that the tone that has been set at the top needs to be changed.
Okay.
We should not have teachers afraid of losing their jobs because they advocate for children.
Right.
We should not have teachers afraid of losing their jobs because they say, "Hey, wait a minute." They're questioning, a methodology or questioning a curriculum or questioning. We should encourage the people who do the job every day to ask questions, to push back, because they're on the front lines. And we have too much, in my opinion, waste at the district office, a bunch of people who are far removed from the classroom, from the everyday life. So when you ask what is wrong, I don't know that I can list every little thing, but I'm starting to look at it from the big picture. And that's honestly why we hope that several of us do have the opportunity to serve, because we want to.
And they talk about how long they put into this plan, and I mean, I just can't accept that they put a lot of thought into it, or either it was just poorly executed.
Right.
I mean, now there's virtual parents that are losing it because they can't get in touch with administrators and stuff. So initially that was kind of going smoother, and then he had the audacity, and I'll just say it, to say in the meeting yesterday that everything in the spring went so well that grades were up. And we know that is a
and
mistruth.
test scores.
That is
AP scores were higher than ever. You know why AP scores were higher than ever? Because the AP tests were modified. The AP test, it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah,
but he literally patted himself on the back.
And this is another thing. I tell my kids this all the time. If I went by the grade scale that you guys went by, or my generation went by the grade scale, I would have been a straight A student, been a valedictorian at Travelers High School, and I wasn't. Me under this grade scale, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can't meet the standard, so we're going to lower the bar instead of let's teach you to the standard and get you to the standard.
I mean, I want to say that he even had the way that the schools were graded changed, so that instead of having like a numerical value, it was satisfactory, and those, so it wouldn't seem so He's done some interesting things. Let's just,
Well-
and again, something that people need to know is that the board is his boss.
Right.
So they do have some leverage with him, and they will not use that authority. And I'm not saying to use it in a bad way. I'm saying use your voice for your constituents.
You've got to create accountability. He's got to perform. And unfortunately, our education system has been hijacked by the liberal left. You know, over 100 years ago, they started hijacking the colleges and the universities. Now it's since the 70s when Jimmy Carter established the Department of Education. They've been after this for 40, 50 years now. And they've been dumbing down our children.
Literally.
And as parents, I mean, I saw it 20 years ago when my kid, 15 years ago when they were still in high school. And now, I mean, it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
And unfortunately, with children being left at home, especially high school age, I have two seniors as well, and it's like they're at home, I can't monitor everything, and they are being indoctrinated. I mean, they'll hit something on Instagram, and it's just, you know, and they'll go in the rabbit hole, and they're asking me questions for things that I'm like, I just wish they wouldn't have even seen it.
Right.
Then, it's trying to combat that bad information they're getting all the time.
Right.
And so I can only imagine what the younger ones whose parents maybe aren't as involved, what they're dealing with. I mean, there's so many things that are wrong right now, and there's no intention of sending high school back, which is an issue for me. There's time being lost that can't be reclaimed.
Right.
And he doesn't, I mean, literally he will say, and all the board members, safety first, physical safety first. And he doesn't understand that emotional and mental illness will manifest into a physical concern.
Well, that is physical safety as well, because you can look around the state, you can look at, I don't care what stats you look at, people are out of work.
He doesn't look, he will not look at that, though we bring it up all the time.
Parents aren't working, income is down in the households, children are going without food. And how do you expect a child to sit and pay attention when he doesn't have the proper nutrition in his body? Suicides are up, divorces are up, spousal and child abuse is up, sex trafficking is up.
Across the board, mental health agencies and mental health professionals are screaming at the top of their lungs that this is a problem. And every bit of it is being ignored in Greenville County.
Yeah. Because, in my opinion, there's a grand design. Rahm Emanuel said, "Never waste a crisis."
Absolutely.
And they've done a good job in not wasting this crisis. I'll tell you.
Still working it, yes.
And we've been fed such a pack of lies. And now, 7, 8, 9 months later, after COVID, I mean, in the beginning, I'll admit we all were like, "Okay, what's going on?"
I worked in healthcare
Yes.
in March and April. I was scared. I mean, because I had no idea. Now that we know,
But now we see, and even the CDC
We
came
have
out.
way too much information now.
Too much information, and we've seen where our government leaders and the bureaucrats have been lying to us. But they keep perpetuating the lie. They've become people of the lie. And that lie is affecting our children and our grandchildren.
Presley, absolutely nothing that was predicted, and then anything that was, it's either not come true, or it's been completely debunked.
Exactly.
Since the beginning.
Right.
And it's being completely ignored. And today, when our local news channels were celebrating the arrival of the plexiglass, I just could not believe. When you look around, I have friends that live in other states that are in school. Their children are in school. They are following some reasonable precautions, but they are not distancing. They are not in plexiglass. They are not. They've had 8 weeks of school with how many cases of COVID? 3.
Yeah.
In a high school that's comparable to my children's high school size. So it can be done. And he's acting like it's just a phenomenon that this is, and that the plexiglass is this. I think one of the board members used the term game changer, and I'm like,
it is, but not in a good way.
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not in a good way.
I mean,
Exactly
I can't
right.
imagine that environment those kids are in.
The environment they're setting up, we've had this conversation, Ashley and I have multiple times, about how developmentally inappropriate it is. It's really, really harmful to those young children.
I mean, they're going to be sitting with
in a mask, behind plexiglass.
Yes, and they cannot take the masks off.
Right.
And we're talking 4 or 5.
And they can't really move from their little table pod.
Well, I mean, there's things out there that say the mask cause harm to your lungs and different things.
I don't know that you can pay attention as well. I mean, even me working in it, I feel like my attention I get distracted.
Yeah.
Well, you play with it too much.
Well, but I mean, I try not to when I'm, but it's just a distraction. So I can only imagine for children what it's doing.
About a month ago, you ladies were down in Columbia with us and reopened the state because our governor now, I forget how many emergency executive orders.
I know.
It's like 200 something days now.
Yeah, 200 and some odd days. But one of a friend of ours. He called me, and the reason we did this rally, he said, Presley, he said, my little second grader, she came home crying because the mask they gave her is too big for her face, and it kept falling down, and she was getting into trouble. And she was worried more about keeping that mask on her face than she can't pay attention to school. It's just insanity. And so our message is,
Well, we had a student in high school that was suspended.
Middle school.
In middle school in the
school.
group for
This past week, a parent we know made us aware that their child had been suspended because they had been identified on camera that their child's mask had been down 3 different times.
like
home.
meaning no at school.
Oh,
At
at
school,
school.
But
their mask was not up
See.
when they were
Over their
supposed to,
nose.
and he was suspended. You know, when I was in school,
From what, a day?
When you got
They only go 2
suspended,
days a week.
when you got suspended, it was because you were caught, I don't know, smoking in the bathroom or fighting in the hallway. I mean,
Yeah.
those were big time,
yeah.
you know, things to get suspended for. Nowadays, you're getting suspended because your mask is down 3
Yeah.
times.
I mean, ladies.
Well, it's putting a lot more stress on the teachers.
We've got to stop the insanity.
Yeah.
We just do.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
I mean, it's
Yes.
logical thinking. I mean, I got a call from the school yesterday telling me that Bradley had an exposure, but he wasn't close contact in class on Thursday. Well, what difference does it make that many days off?
Yeah.
And then they encourage you to have your child tested, and I'm kind of I don't understand. I mean, in healthcare, we've always understood. You know, somebody presents with clinical symptoms,
Yeah.
diagnostic testing, you have a diagnosis. Now we just test everybody and say you're COVID positive, you're COVID positive.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're fine and healthy and happy, and it doesn't make sense for logical thinkers. We are struggling.
Yes.
Right.
It's tough.
Well, and I want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
You ladies have started an organization called Press. And I love that name. They named it after me. Press. No,
That's
not
funny.
really.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you tell everybody what Press is about? And you got several thousand people involved with your group, so can you tell
I'll
us
let
about
Ashley,
that?
because she is the literal founder of
Founder
the
of
group.
Press.
Yes.
And I had no intentions of it getting that big either, but I didn't know there were that many people as concerned as we were. I mean,
Yeah. There is. So
Yeah. And initially I started it because I was upset about sports conditioning and academic recovery camps, and I wanted to see if teachers and coaches and other kids and parents were afraid to go back. Like, is what I'm hearing true?
yeah.
And undoubtedly they weren't, and
Right.
they were all kind of just as surprised as me. And I guess I saw where this was going,
Right.
and I knew that it wasn't going to be good. If he wasn't going to let kids practice outside or sit in a building to catch up in school 6 feet apart, you know, and with 4 or 5 of them, I knew it was going to be bad.
Right.
I mean, that it was almost like being a best worst case scenario predictor. I just
Right.
saw it coming, hoping for the best, but.
So what does Press stand for?
Parents for the return of extracurricular school and sports.
Parents for the return of extracurricular school and sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how many thousands of people do you have in this group now?
5,100 now.
I think that was. I thought
Maybe
we were
more.
we're closing in on 6,000.
Closing
Maybe.
on
But I
6,000.
mean, this is just a
Yeah.
grassroots Facebook
Right.
group.
So, but our message to all of you watching us, especially those of you here in Greenville County, because this is Greenville County specific.
And we are very comparable to California right now. They have a group similar.
Yes.
And our situation is as dire as theirs, which
Yeah. And you
we're a
wouldn't
red
think
state.
you
We're a
wouldn't think
red
that
state.
we're in a red state.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should be a red state.
We
We're
should
actually
be.
purple.
The people here are red, but unfortunately, we, as you said, we've been asleep at the wheel,
Right.
and we've allowed these liberals. There was a takeover about 10 years ago. We did have a conservative school board. Julie Hershey was a member of that school board, and some others, and they specifically targeted her.
They did.
Took her out and took some other conservatives out. And my heart is warmed to see you ladies and these other ladies who are running as conservatives, who are just, well, you have chronic CS, I'm afraid to tell you.
Yeah.
It's called chronic common sense, okay?
Yeah.
And,
it's a problem now.
yeah,
I mean, with
and-
no
and-
medication or cure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're right. And our bureaucrats, our school superintendent, can I say his name?
Yeah, I mean,
Burke,
Everybody. Yes.
Burke,
Royster.
Burke Royster. Burke, we love you, man, but listen, you got to get off of this insanity, this craziness. We've got to put these kids back in school 5 days a week. We've got to stop this craziness.
without the restrictions.
Without the restrictions, these masks, the plexiglass, I mean, it's been debunked. It's been proven that it's all a lie, and we need to get these children back at school, because if we don't, your funding is going to go down, sir, because you know what? Sam Manleys of the world are going to start taking their kids out of public schools, and they're going to be putting them in either private schools or they're going to be homeschooling them. And there's a lot of great curriculum out there. And but
Well, we would ask too.
There's a
for
lot of great curriculum out there that's not only it's teaching, it's not indoctrinating. So
Yes.
it's actually teaching what history is, not what cancel culture wants it to be.
Right. It wasn't always pretty.
Yeah.
They're teaching them how to properly add what 2 and 2 is
Yeah.
to make 4 without going through all this.
All the
stuff.
steps.
Common Core.
Teaching
Common
history,
Core
you
stuff.
know.
And we've been asking from the beginning, we want personal responsibility and accountability for our kids.
To return.
To the best of our
Absolutely.
knowledge, we have no reason to have it taken from us.
We are big time personal responsibility people.
Yeah.
We believe
Yes.
that it is everyone's personal responsibility to take care of themselves, to make choices for themselves, to make decisions for themselves and their children. in
Well,
our
we both
cases.
have athletes now, and
Yeah.
we know that the ambulance sits on the
Yes.
side of the football field, but we look at the risk benefit, and our
Right.
kids still go on the field and play
We
when
don't
they're
live
allowed
in a
to.
risk-free world. We assume risk every day. We set our feet on the floor. We
Right.
assume
Right.
risk. Period.
And so we would have an option to sign a waiver saying, we don't want all the restrictions. We have to have some normal. We know it doesn't affect kids. Why is that not an acceptable approach?
Right.
I mean, for teachers and the students.
Yeah.
We don't understand why Greenville County believes it to be their responsibility to take care of little Johnny's grandmother.
Yeah.
Just because
Well,
Johnny made
But they have
live
liability
with
insurance. So if
grandmother.
you say,
Well,
there's just.
we've become a nanny state.
Right.
And the government really wants to take care of us from the cradle to the grave. They really do. And they're making a big
Well, it's not they
push.
want to take care of us; they want the power.
They want to control us.
Oh yeah,
from
yeah,
the cradle
yeah.
to the
We're
grave.
not. We don't give them that much
And
credit.
they'll
They
give
want
us
to
a
take
few
care of us.
crumbs. They'll give us a few
Yeah.
crumbs. But
And
they
I'll
really
say being in
want
this
to control us.
situation is maddening. I
Yeah.
mean, it is maddening. Like, there's
Well,
nights we're on the phone.
well, you
we're
got
like,
politicians playing doctor, and you got doctors playing politicians.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's a great way of
you,
putting it.
yeah. So you've got that going on, and that's what the governor's done. You know, so somebody, there's the joke going on right now about the guys, do I have COVID, doctor? And he's like, no, I'm not a politician. Or how long is this going to last? No, I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The politicians are controlling medicine and controlling the information that's out there. Another thing is that you've got conservative school teachers that are in the system. They're just afraid to speak out because there's repercussions if they're known. I know of some school teachers who don't let their political beliefs or their ideas be known because our school district is controlled mostly by the left liberals. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't even mind other people having opinions, but the thing is if someone else can wear something that's maybe targeted towards a certain party, why are one is okay, the other isn't. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And that's their problem because they don't share their religious beliefs,
Right.
their political views. So, but sometimes the students are allowed to wear it, or administration or other staff, and it's kind of forced on them,
Right.
and they aren't allowed to say anything. So, and we just put them in a very hostile, impossible environment right now.
There's some things as far as public prayer. If the students are having public prayer at an event or whatever, I'd like to see if a teacher wants to participate, you should be able to participate.
Sure.
If you don't want to participate, it's not your religion, it's not your belief, then don't participate.
Take
But it shouldn't be,
responsibility.
it shouldn't be going across the board. Don't participate. Don't be caught bowing your head. Don't be caught leading our students in prayer, because like it or not,
Yeah.
there's only one guy.
Yeah.
PTA members that were told not to be in our group because they recognized, and that they are the ones that put money into the schools when the schools can't because they're so destitute. To hear Mr. Royster talk about it,
Right.
but they have threatened them and they're
Whoa,
volunteers.
whoa, whoa. Stop right there. What's our annual budget for the Greenville County Schools?
It's
give
like
me a
700 and something million.
Million.
700 and something million.
All right, let's just say 700
Just say
million.
700 million because I don't know the
700
exact dollar
million.
I
amount.
think it was like 688 million, so
All
we're
right,
around.
700 million. Well, we're going to round it off, okay?
I've seen two figures, so I'm not even
Okay.
sure which is correct.
Right.
That's
It's
just
11 to
transparency.
14,000.
We
that
would
they
like to see some
allocate.
transparency, so we're not
Per
really
kid.
sure.
And how many students are in our public school system?
There were 77,000.
There were
But he has
77,000.
not released the 10-day count to know how many were.
We have no idea. We have asked multiple times
They're hiding
for
it
the
from you.
count.
Yes.
And we are told that they don't have it yet, or they'll have it on
In 40 the
day
45th day.
45 days. Yeah.
It used to be a
Oh.
10-day count. Now it's 45th.
Okay. Okay,
Because they don't want us to know who's pulled for homeschool, private
Yeah.
school, homeschool co-op, those
I'll be
options.
honest with you, I'm not even sure they know because remember the information you sent me the other day where we had a guidance counselor
Oh, yeah.
publishing that there was like 75 truancy
Quit
letters.
reporting your
And
kids
they
for
don't,
truancy.
they don't know they don't know where children are.
Yeah.
And that was a guidance counselor from Blue Ridge that shared that.
Wow.
With the transparency, and you know, this is, and to help clarify with me, who is leading who on the school? Is the superintendent of Greenville County making all the decisions, and the school board just basically saying,
Rubber
yeah,
stamping
you
it?
rubber stamping it, or
That's
is
how
the,
That's how it appears.
or is the school board making the
school
decisions,
board-
and he's just saying, yeah, whatever you say, I'm
No,
behind
he's
it.
making it. The school board creates policy, he makes rules. And if they conflict, the policy is to supersede the rule. So technically, they could have made a framework that was a little more user-friendly for everyone.
But when you have liberal school board members and a liberal school
Right,
superintendent, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing here.
Technically speaking, there's supposed to be that check and balance there, but it's not. Every single thing he comes to them with, they nod their head and say, okay.
And they give him the pass, the free pass on it.
And a few of them have asked some hard questions, but it doesn't translate into
It's followed up
action.
with thank you for all the hard work
It's
you're doing,
followed
Dr.
up with,
Royster.
well, and
Yeah.
a contract extension and a glowing performance review.
Yeah.
What's
Buying them off.
Do you guys know the annual salary for the superintendent?
272,000.
Why?
Whoa. That's 272,000.
Yes.
But doesn't he have some perks and bennies that go with that
Yes,
too?
a vehicle and maybe a housing allowance.
Housing allowance.
'Cause he's from
So he's probably well above 400,000.
Yes.
Would you
I'm
guess?
quite certain.
We're not sure about how much of that. I've heard that he's pushing 300,000
Okay.
with those things, but I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I don't know the exact figure.
Okay.
If he's pushing over 80,000, he's getting paid too much.
Well, hey,
And so my thing is,
I'd
is
go
that
100. I'd go 100, Sam.
well,
but, yeah.
hey, you know, you give him 100. I want 80. You want 100? Give me some
Well,
results.
those right under him make 100.
Yeah.
Well, I was
120.
going to say we have 100 making six figures.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Just
whoa,
at the
whoa,
district
whoa.
level.
Just
we,
at the district
we
level.
have 100 administrators.
Not principals that work at the district
100
office.
administrators.
100
making,
administrators.
I'm not sure if they are working at the district.
I think so.
Making 100K plus.
I'm not
Because he has
sure.
so many superintendents there.
I know that, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't
there's
know
a-
speak to
there's
that. But there was an article in the newspaper. This is not hidden
Yeah,
information.
Right.
There are
And
100 people in Greenville County that make six figures.
Seemed like I read that too.
And there's a good many at the district office.
And many of those are at the district
At the
office. We're not
district
sure if all
office.
of them are at the
Yeah.
district
yeah,
office.
some could be a principal. Or,
Right.
Yeah.
I suspect there might be a few principals in there.
And what's the average? I know we're talking about averages. What's an average teacher salary?
With their masters, 50,000?
50 to, maybe.
50. Okay.
54, I think, is at most.
You
which
know,
is-
I mean, we need to invert that.
Yes.
We
and,
do.
and pay the teachers 100,000.
Yes, right.
And make the administrators.
you
let
know
them
what we
earn
keep hearing is
50,000.
Greenville County teachers are paid better than all the other counties in the state. That doesn't make it okay.
No.
That doesn't make it
No,
okay.
they
at all.
they want credit for having they do. In theory, they have some of the best pay in the state.
So basically,
But that doesn't make it okay.
But
That
if
doesn't
you
mean
look
it's
at North
okay.
Carolina, Georgia, and all
Yeah.
around us, it's
Yeah, but if you're yeah, you're
If
right.
you want to recruit the best and the brightest and you want to retain them, retention's a horrible problem around here.
right,
for
oh, yeah.
teachers, yeah.
For teachers.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're basically throwing out, you're the best of the poor.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And
yes.
I will tell you, if the school district was a business, it would have been out of business a long time ago. But they have the power to tax us.
Yeah.
And
A lot.
A lot.
Because they're allocated 11 to 14,000 per pupil, roughly,
Right.
with 77,000.
Yeah, and it depends. Like if you have children with special needs, there's 11,800 students with special needs, or who have what they call individual education plans in Greenville County. You actually get more money per child for those because it's like they get some federal,
They get
there's some
federal
federal money
funding.
that goes with that too.
And there's also ESOL students that are English as a second language.
Yeah, there's all
that have been
different. There's all
dropped.
different late
Yeah,
categories of
yeah.
students that bring in
Well, we're
different.
getting into
Yeah,
the weeds
they
there.
are. We are.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a crisis going on in Greenville County
Absolutely.
with our school district and with the leadership at the top. And the only way we're going to change that is we've got to replace some of these school board members. We've got to replace them all, really. But every 4 years, there's or every
In 2022, the other six.
The
will
other
be up.
six. So there's six up this year, and then there'll be
and
six year.
Six and six, it rotates. So we've got Ashley Mosley here.
Angie.
Excuse me,
That's okay.
Angie.
Angie does it.
It's
and
two
Ashley.
A's. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Angie Mosley,
Yes.
Ashley Martin.
Yes.
I had that
That's
reversed.
okay.
What districts? You're in district
I'm in 21.
I'm in 19.
19.
19.
And
then we've got Carolyn Stiles running in District 17, Dolly Collins over there in 17, Sarah Doolin in 27, and Jennifer Tanner in 25. Ladies and gentlemen, please go to scvotes.org, find out which school district you live in. All you have to do is type in your address, and you will find out who members are. Some of you are going to have to wait another 2 years to get rid of the others if you're in their district. But right now, we've got to start now. We cannot wait, and we need to get these ladies, all of the, and, you know, it's interesting, it's all ladies running, you know? Yeah, I mean, no, but women are the nurturing type, and you're concerned about it. Us guys,
So
we're concerned too. But we just want to say thank you, because you ladies have been a breath of fresh air. I hope and pray you get elected.
Me too.
I hope these other ladies get elected with you. And so go out and vote. Go to scvotes.org, type in your address, you'll find out who to vote for school board. Okay? Angie?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ashley?
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ashley.
And we'll catch you all on the next round of Patriots on Point. Have a good day, everybody.